Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell.
Yo, be a father. If not, why bother, son? A boy can make them, but a man can raise one. Be a father to your child. Be a father to your child.
Go ahead and say something.
Microphone check 1 2. What is this? The Father Podcast, talking some business. That's it. That's all I got, bro. Trash lyrics.
That was pretty good.
It's a good way.
Rhyming diapers.
It's a good way to intro.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, fellas? Where we at? Episode 4. Yep.
All right.
We're in there.
That's pretty dope.
Only we've heard. Huh?
That's pretty dope.
It's pretty fucking dope, dude. Yo, I got to tell you, I mean, we kind of talk about this offline, but this is very therapeutic. Have y'all felt the same?
For sure.
Yep.
Like, I crave it. I didn't think I was going to get to a point where I would crave this shit. I know I'm a fucking weirdo. Don't look at me like that. Yo, do we need to announce who we are every time? Is that like a thing?
I don't think so.
Hurt.
Or do we just record it and then play it some other time? Like every time we edit the pod?
I think after a while people will just know our voices. So.
Definitely after a while. Yeah. And maybe we'll do an introduction that just starts off the pod anyways.
Yeah, the canned joint.
Or not.
We'll
see.
Stupid.
So what's the word?
Yep.
What's the topic of the day, guys?
Topic. Come on,
we're supposed to get better as episodes go by.
Here's what I was thinking. So we actually touched a little bit on this on maybe the second time we talked. Let's delve into the music side a little bit more. Okay. You know, we talked a little bit about lyrics, or do we let our kids hear what we're listening to? But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Plus, just let's talk about some songs, man.
Yo, I mean, so E posts some dope shit on his Instagram when he's got like music playing and he's got his daughter like in his lap and he's making a dance or whatever. But I find it. Do you get a reaction from her? So like if you go from an environment where there is no music or maybe not hip hop music, and you switch that on, do you feel like she vibes with it in the least bit?
I mean, she's super young right now, so to really gauge her reaction is tough. But I think she reacts based on my reaction. So if I'm a little bit more like happy and like into the song or whatever, you know, obviously she does react to the sounds. Yeah. But if, you know, I'm hype with her and and then like I haven't done it in a couple days, but I was trying to do it like every morning. You know, I'm trying to make it like a little ritual where I put her, you know, onto some classic hip hop stuff. And we just vibe out, and yeah, so she reacts more to me than anything.
So that's a ritual that you're trying to establish.
Yeah, I want it to be like a ritual, you know, kind of like, you know how people say like early in the day they try to either put some music on or put something positive on. Like I want it to be something with her where it's like we share that moment, because my girl tends to go to the gym in the morning, and It's just me and my daughter. And that's, you know, something I'm trying to create, like, you know, that ritual with her where as she grows older, she'll, you know, it'll be something that she's used to. And then, you know, I don't know, I want her to look back and be like, oh, damn, you know, I got put onto all these, like, tracks growing up with my dad.
Any particular songs that you tend to play, or is it random all the time?
It's pretty random. I found this really dope playlist on iTunes of, like, 80s, late 80s, early 90s stuff. And I just go through the tracks that I like the most right now. You know, like Run DMC stuff, Beastie Boys. The song that I always love and makes me feel good, like in a positive way, is Raw Bass and Easy Rock. It Takes Two. Like I'll probably play that a couple times, you know, like in the week with her.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a feel good song.
Yeah, my son likes that one too.
Love that song. You know, so stuff like that. You know. Children's Story, Slick Rick. You know, obviously it's not about the lyrics. It's more just about just the track. And if I like it, so I can dance with her and vibe with her and just, you know, be cute with her.
I kind of like that. You know, I mean, meditation is such a big thing now. Most people are trying to do that. Like that's an interesting form of it.
Yeah. You know, obviously, as she gets older and maybe she starts to know the lyrics, then I have to be a little careful with some of the tracks.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't
again-
know, man. I don't know. I think the earlier, well, there's a gap, right? So like if she's like 2, 3, you can't really explain to her, you know, this is what this means. Don't say it, or
Right. And again, going back to our previous conversation, I lean more towards the side of don't hide your kids from things. But at the same token, if I'm going to be doing a ritual with her where we're going to start, you know, singing lyrics and it's like in her face, I'm not going to be like, you know, like, fuck the police, you know, like that's not necessarily, I don't want to go that far either. You know what I'm saying? That blatant with it. So it's just, you know, it's there's a lot of good tracks out there that we could listen to no problem all the way through.
What about you, Manny? You listen to music with your kids?
I'm doing it more. Actually, this podcast kind of gave me more of a foundation to do it. Just our discussion actually, because I was always kind of on the fence. I would occasionally let them listen to stuff that's not on the radio necessarily, like my joints. And I'm a big like Jay-Z fan, so I take them through kind of some of the old albums or whatever, and we just listen. But I'd be very hesitant because of some of the raunchy, you know, raunchiness or whatever. Not so much the cursing, but the raunchiness. But now I feel like they respect the fact that I'm allowing them to kind of enter my world a little bit. So they're more interested in actually listening and trying to put the story together, like, you know, it makes sense in my head, versus like laugh at every curse word or every, you know, raunchy thing that pops up.
Right.
So I'm slowly kind of opening the Komodo, you know, a little bit to get them into more stuff. But I find it difficult myself to even listen to music generally. Like it's been like the most frustrating thing because
actually I know I went through a period like that, especially when you work in music. Then
no, I always
like
go through that period.
You have a hard time just listening as a fan or you know, just because you're dealing with it as work.
Right.
But
like I can't find, like, I want to find time in the day to just not even like catch up on new music, just listen to the stuff that I love to listen to.
Oh yeah.
Might be decades old or whatever. But how do y'all do it? Do y'all do it? Or are you same predicament?
What Kay say is right on point. And even now, like I told you, like that's a ritual I started, and it's been a couple of days that we haven't done it just because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But also the fact of working in the industry, you kind of want to like sometimes take a break from, or you can't. It's not that actually I want to listen to music, but it's just like even when I listen to it, it just doesn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and you know, and I'm chasing like a feeling because that's what music does for me. And you know, it's harder and harder to get that same feeling back. But there's those days, or there's that time, or there's that moment. Like I'll tell you the moment that usually happens maybe at least once a week. Like I'll come back from the gym, I work out in the afternoon, I'll come home, and if my girl is not here and the baby's not here, I just crank up the music and I sit outside. I have rocking chairs in my backyard, you know, grab a cold drink, and I could just vibe out to music like that. You know, I'm one of those people that need to blast music. I can't listen to music around people, and especially if I have to listen to it like all like
hidden, contained,
like low volume. Like you know, people laugh at me. I tell people I have DJ ear, like where I'm a little hard of hearing because I grew up in clubs DJing next to speakers. If I wasn't DJing, I was right there in the front next to the speakers, so it was blasting in my ear. So I need to hear things, you know, crank the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I miss the whole experience of it. I mean, there's times where I just kind of crave. I think to myself, because I basically start defaulting on already curated playlists at this point. Like, you know, when I'm looking around, because it's almost just too much, like to sift through. So I'm just trying to find a playlist, see a couple songs that I'm familiar with that I like, and then I'll just go into that because it's less time consuming. But what I miss is just the curation, like having that time to just devote to putting together some kind of mixtape and putting, you know, the right sequencing, that whole experience is. So because that's the way I used to listen to music a lot, is, you know, either recording off the radio or you make your own mixes and then through that, you then listen to those mixes over and over again, that kind of thing.
Like I miss I think the funnest part, and especially the generation that we kind of grew up in, is discovering new music and enjoying it. Like it's just like, it's just all brand new. And going to the playlist thing that you said, Kay, like, yeah, you default to playlists, but what's dope about some of these playlists is that it reminds you of all these songs that you forgot about sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's not just the regular, top 10 playlist of whatever from that year, and they have these, you're like, oh man, and it gets you hyped. It makes you like remember that time when you heard that song or an experience you had. And I, when I used to live in my other spot and I had my DJ room, which now I have a DJ room, but it's dedicated to my daughter. I used to love just going into just turning on my record players, and it's not necessarily about me DJing, but it's about me just going into my records and just like pulling records out randomly and being like, oh damn, and I forgot about this joint, oh the B joint, and just playing that and just all those feelings coming back. And that's, to me, at the end of the day, ultimately that's what music is about, is recreating feelings, and it's the soundtrack to our lives, and that's, in bringing it back to my daughter, that's what I kind of want to do for her, where she doesn't get it now, but maybe in the future she'll hear like this 90s or like 80s hip hop song and be like, it takes her to a warm place where she was just hanging out with her pops, and I want to recreate that, for her in that sense.
So what my son is doing now is, because we've been exposing him to all kinds of music from the start, but recently he's taken more of an interest in, so when we're driving around and we have playlists going, or from the phone through the car.
Yeah.
He now wants to grab the phone and he wants to start scrolling through to try to pick music
something
out
together.
to play, right?
Oh.
So we're driving the other day and we had something on, and he's like, I want to be the DJ. So he asked to use the phone, gave him the phone, and then we're driving, and then all of a sudden, I don't know how he found it, but Planet Rock came on. Right?
Oh. So you think he just,
Huh?
You think he? He said it's contentious now. So you think he just stumbled upon it just based on like?
I think because I think we had some kind of like 80s hip hop playlist on there, and he started looking around at the covers for the singles, and he thought that, I'm guessing that he picked that because he thought he knew what a DJ looked like because it had some kind of DJ cover on it. But when it came on and he's looking for my reaction now if I like what he's picked out. So when that came on, I had to do a double take. I'm like, what? And then we both, and I got hype and my wife got hype, and then he just started going nuts. He's like, yeah, I picked the best song. Yeah, let's rock out.
That's dope. That's real dope.
So now so now he's, every time we're out driving around and we can't find, one of us puts on a song that's not that great, he's asking for it because he wants to try to find, the good music to put on.
And what's ill is that you kind of like, in a sense, I mean, it's kind of programming, but the more like every time you react to a song, he'll like bookmark in his brain, this is a dope song.
Right, yeah.
And if it keeps, repetitively, he's going to have this playlist himself of dope ass tracks,
I mean, it's no different than when we were growing up, I'm sure. Because I think about like what my mom used to play, like when she was cleaning the house or whatever, and it was a bunch of like old school merengue and salsa. And to this day, if I hear them joints, I'm like, I lose it. And I wouldn't call myself the biggest Latin music guy, but I definitely I get down with it when I hear it. But especially those classics.
That's how I feel about disco. My older cousins in LA used to play disco when I was in the house. And it's not like I, know disco and necessarily really grew up on it like that, but it brings back good feelings. Like, like when I got older and I was DJing, I actually went out and started trying to put disco into my set and make it part of my hip hop set. Okay. And early in when I would start the club off or start my set off, I would play some disco records that kind of would work, and who helped kind of like usher in some disco into hip hop was, especially when Wycliffe did that joint. What was the joint that he did?
Oh, the Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, that one. So that kind of helped to get people onto that. And the other thing too that is, to me, especially if you're around my age, is 80s pop. To me, hands down, like brings back so many memories of my childhood and movies and stuff that I'll put on one of those playlists, and I'll be transported to being a little kid riding bicycle around the neighborhood up to no good, with doing little mystery things and setting things on fire or whatever the craziness that I was up to.
You be hearing some TKA, and then you be blowing shit up.
That's not TK.
No, more Stevie B.
Stevie B. That's what I was gonna ask you. Like, when you say '80s pop, what is? I mean,
Cyndi Lauper, Madonna. It's like that type of
stuff from back in the day.
Yeah, like
little soft cell.
Mode. I don't know if Touch Mode. But, those groups. There was a bunch of the Cover Girls or whatever. I don't know, but that type of stuff.
Okay.
The sound. What has a good soundtrack? Or I don't know if it's an official playlist. Stranger Things.
Oh, they do. That's true.
Do they? Yeah.
Yeah. They put a lot of dope music in that.
So would you guys? So this is kind of veering off, but still within the realm. What would you think about your kids wanting to have a career in music? Would you encourage that, or would you?
Manny,
I mean, I think my answer is going to be very different from yours, just because I have never been directly involved in the music business. But being affiliated with you guys and just hearing things, like generally speaking, I guess I'll say I'm supportive of wherever they want to go. But I have some fundamental rules that I think they need to listen to and kind of abide by, which are basically make sure that whatever you're getting yourself into, you're very passionate about, right? And not just say it, but like help them understand what passion actually translates to. Because, you find yourself hearing that often, but until you actually feel passionate about something, you don't really know what the hell that means. And so we go through things now where, I highlight for them, like when I see them very passionate about something. So I kind of translate that into whatever, career, etc. and just give them examples. But music particularly, like I'm like, yo, take a crack at it, bro. But understand that it's not the smoke and mirrors that you see on TV. And that's going to take years for me to really, get them to understand. But I wouldn't have any issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue particularly about it, but I would try to like drive the kind of similar what Manny's saying. I would take my life experiences and try to explain, like, you have to, first of all, be genuinely passionate about anything in the arts. And I had this conversation actually with my goddaughter. I don't know if I told you guys about this. Paul had hit me up, my boy Paul. I'm the godfather to 3 of his first daughters.
Drink Champ Sports.
Drink Champ Sports.
Yeah, Drink Champ Sports. And the middle one, Didi, she's interested in acting. So Paul asked me to speak to her about it. And I told her basically, like, it's not an easy road. If you pick anything in the arts, you don't do it for money. Don't do it because you think you're going to become famous or anything like that. Do it purely because this is your passion, and approach it from an artistic point of view and try to learn the craft, go take acting classes, do all this stuff and learn about the culture of acting, the history of acting, and just dive into it. And then have your real plan, which is like your money-making plan in life. And that should be kind of like your hobby that you're really passionate about until it becomes the primary thing that you do in life that brings you money. So that's what I would tell my kids. I would want them to follow their passions as long as they're really passionate about it. But realistically, know that, there's things you can do along the way early on that can set yourself up so that your hobby, that's aka your passion, you can do it and still, live a comfortable life until that starts to create the revenue stream for you to just do that full time.
Yeah.
How about you, Kay?
Yeah, probably about the same in line with you guys. I mean, I do think there's probably a need for more doctors and
right.
Folks
good doctors,
folks like that. Yeah, but being someone who was passionate about music or is passionate about music or being passionate about something and you have that driving force inside of you that kind of won't let you stop. I think for my son, if he ended up going that route or wanted to explore that route, would just be to also emphasize that to cultivate his other skills, because those other skills, even if it's not directly related right now, that'll all come into play. You know what I mean? Right. It's like all the kind of like plan B kind of side things that maybe I was cultivating while I was mainly focused on music. those were the things that ended up, helping me get into other opportunities that, afforded me more money or more situations, but still allowed me to do music and became music related. So,
right. Well,
that's hard. It's hard to get a kid to understand.
Who's probably who's probably the most ideal example is I forget this. I don't know where he's from. He's an Asian comedian dude. The one from Hangover.
Oh yeah.
His story. I mean, I don't know it fully, but from what it seems, from all the different parts that I've heard, is that he was a doctor. He is a doctor.
He is a doctor, yeah.
And he, had a career being a doctor and decided at one point, with the support of his family, to pursue comedy, which was his passion. But he already had this career as being a doctor. And now it's funny because now he's in a TV show where he plays a doctor. So imagine, so that actually comes full circle because he actually, he's a comedian and it's a comedy, but he knows what he's talking about as a doctor in the show.
Ken John.
Yeah, he's pretty ill, man. He's pretty ill. I mean, not that, for you to become a doctor, and I mean, it's not impossible, but I'm just saying that's
hard. Yeah, it's
and then he became successful as a comedian, and he has the number one. They had the number one movie recently with Crazy Rich. Asians.
Yeah.
So, and the
not to be confused with Crazy Rich Haitians.
Yeah, Crazy Rich Haitians. Well, the chick, the tennis player that could go double.
Oh, that's true.
Crazy Rich Asian Haitians.
I think he went to Duke and UNC.
Are you doing Google search there?
Hell yeah. Wikipedia.
You're the Googler on our show.
Hey, when I'm in front of a computer, watch out.
He's the man. So to me, that's that's the ideal path that I would want for my daughter if she wants to pursue the arts. I want her. It doesn't have to be a doctor, but I think she should have something that's more stable type of career that she can fall back on, and then the hobby and the passion, which not to take away anything from the passion, she should go full throttle on that passion, give it the equal, but then that's her hobby until it it flips.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think the strategy, they should have a foundational strategy in their approach toward a career, or multiple potentially, right? As they're going through school, etc. Start thinking, at a certain age, start thinking about, all right, I'm deeply in love with this thing. So I have a cousin, for instance, that goes to the Rhode Island School of Design, which is a very prestigious art school, a world-renowned school, very difficult to get into, but she was able to get in there. And she can freehand draw like classical art, I guess is what I would call it, paint and all that good stuff. And now she just started her junior year, and she's at the point where she's like, okay, I really still enjoy doing this. School has been ridiculously difficult, but she's like, I'd rather do the grunt work and all the difficult stuff for this that I enjoy, even though I hate, the grunt work, than having to do it for a different line or a different career, because I know I would be depressed. And then, right. but she's smart. She's like, all right, I know it's probably hard to be a painter and make money to survive. So she's like, how do I flip this into a lane that makes sense? And so she's exploring potentially doing interior design work and kind of leveraging her artistic expression in other ways, while still doing painting and other stuff and trying to get commissioned to do projects. But I was like, see, that's smart, because you don't have to deviate too far off and potentially still land in a place where you can utilize your skill set to, make more money than you think you would if you just went full on painting.
There is another path that is the one probably me and Heather at the least are probably closer to, which is, and I told this to my goddaughter, I was like, I'm not saying that not to go and just follow, head first into your passion, but just if you do understand the struggles that potentially lie ahead, and if you can go and you're willing to go through those struggles, then no one can tell you not to go, down that path, because you're willing to go through the dark side, and then not even knowing if you'll be successful, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
That you're so passionate about something that that you may not even be successful, and you're willing to go into the darkness to try to attain it. Because the way I look at it is that it's been, and I say this from experience of not going necessarily, I went to college or whatever, I got my AA or whatever, and then it took me forever to even get that. And the struggle of like sometimes the stress of not having a college degree or career to fall back on, and it's just like it's all on me, and then entertainment industry is so fickle, and it comes in waves, like the way you make money sometimes, and you have to be able to have these different skills, like Heather says, and not everybody can pivot to different things successfully. So maybe if I had a skill, like I could actually sing or rap or do some shit, it would be different. But most people, it's just going to be tough. And that's the only thing I wouldn't want for my own daughter. I wouldn't want her to sit there and be struggling and stressing and growing white hairs like me. Because, George Bush put us in a recession, and the first thing that people cut are budgets in the music industry that affect me first and foremost. And so it's,
I think also just, what I'm going to hammer home for my son is just, and this is just generally speaking, like what your own definition and expectations of success are in kind of whatever you do. I used to teach at a music college, and it's like a lot of young kids are in there, and their expectation of success, or what their definition is basically what they see on, what a major pop star success is.
Right.
And that's
is not the average.
Nah, that's not the norm. So, but there's plenty of people who can make a living at doing what they love by just kind of tweaking and fine tuning and having some self-awareness of where they're at or what they should strive. Always strive for as much as
greatness.
Strive for greatness, but also, have a success level. You don't have to be a billionaire to be, have a happy, successful life.
Right.
So I think just when it comes time to start having those kind of convos with my son, be interesting to see if he even takes that in, or if he's like, yeah, whatever.
What you're saying is very interesting, and I think it goes back to just parenting, because I think the example that we lead as parents in front of our children kind of helps them understand and define success for themselves. And if not to take away from the dude, the person that does this, but if we're all about flossing and about being in the best car and the best gear and the best restaurants and the best hotels, and everything's about the best and no matter at all cost, showing off, then that's the example that your kid, and then your kid might be like, this is the only way that I'm gonna make my parents proud, to be able to floss, to make this kind of money, to do this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like instilling those morals and those things in a child that I think make a big difference for what they think success looks like or is. Because if they see their family happy, and to us, having fucking pizza on a Friday is a big deal.
Right.
It's not caviar on a Tuesday.
Then
to them, just being happy with friends and family and having pizza and some beers might be like a successful day for them, on a smaller scale. So.
We're just learning appreciation early on. Like none of this stuff,
definitely.
None of this stuff is guaranteed. So
right, and materials don't mean shit in the long run.
Yeah.
Yep. So family's actually an interesting.
We went
one.
Mad hippie right now.
Nah, that's cool.
You got some rapper saying "fuck you, bitch."
Crunchy time. So you guys hit it on the head, like the family aspect, for instance, that you referenced, E. That is kind of how my wife and I, we didn't set this as our goal per se, but this is kind of organically how things have played themselves out. Is like we seek opportunities all the time to try to combine families, and get them with their cousins and uncles and aunts and grandparents and etc. as often as possible, because that fabric and that bond that you create will give them, I think, a lot more perspective just from a generational perspective than a lot of the stuff, because we come from a very similar upbringing and pattern of living. And so, like, you know, when I was down in Florida for that month, that was the entire purpose of that trip. It was like, how do we maximize every single day so that we can get them as close to their family as possible, that we don't get a chance to see all that often.
Right.
And so, like, that coupled with some of those foundational principles creates, like, I mean, I'm seeing it now, and my 5-year-old and my 11-year-old are the best examples of that. You just focus on accepting them for who they are as best you can, you know, within reason, right? Not them doing crazy shit and breaking shit, but, like, you know, set a certain set of parameters. And they like the old adage says, it's not what you say, it's what you do that they really vibe off of. And it's been really interesting so far to see all that play out. Especially, like, since we started this podcast, like, when I was coming down to my basement, my son was like, Dad, you about to record? And I'm like, what do you, like, I didn't even realize that he knew what I was doing.
Right.
And he's like, is this for fatherhoods? And I was like, Joe, what are you doing, bro? Why are you spying on me? And then he's like, when are we going to record ours? I'm like, oh, you want to do a podcast? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, we'll see where that goes.
Childhoods.
Right. We'll have a special episode where we put the kids on here too.
Yeah, bring your kid
dope.
to work day. Bring your kid to podcast day.
That would be dope.
Well, my son is obsessed with this mic. Every time he comes walking by, he's like, "You gotta turn it on, man. I gotta get on the mic."
It's pretty damn cool, man. I can't lie. Shout out to Sure or no Road. It don't matter. They didn't sponsor.
That's all right.
us.
Yeah, they're not giving us any money yet. Notice the key word is yet.
I think I called it Sure before. Jams.
You were sure that it's road.
Yeah.
But
Crispy.
So what hot take do you have? What hot take do you have, E, this week? Like, what have you learned from your daughter?
What have I learned?
Like that might have shocked you, or I don't know, surprised you.
So, yeah, especially since you're in the early stages here.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I've learned anything specific. I'm being, you know, pleasantly, like, it's just a joy to see her every day developing more and having more, you know, like, she's trying, I mean, I think she's trying to talk, like me and my girl think, but she's making more noises and she's being more animated. She's grabbing at things more. She's like touching my beard. She's probably wondering, is this Santa Claus or my dad? So it's just, you know, it's just crazy to see every single day her development. And it really, every day there's like almost like you see a little step further in her development. Tomorrow's a big day because we're going to her doctor. Appointment. And, you know, we got to make decisions on this vaccine stuff tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think
tomorrow.
We talked about that last episode. Yeah. So now it's D-Day.
Yep.
Now, have you guys figured out kind of what path you want to take, or is it going to be spur of the moment at the conversation?
Well, I mean, we know that we want to do some of the main vaccines, and we want to do them spread out.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one of you said it, that you know, doing them spread out helps you figure out if there is some kind of a reaction, so you can narrow it down to like the one or two that you had that time. So we're definitely going to do that. But then, you know, my girl was reading some stuff about the different vaccines out there, and some of them just sound so crazy, man. Like, if you read them, you're just like, why are they injecting this into a baby?
I mean, it's kind of like those commercials where you hear like, you're like, oh, take this, you know, like Viagra, for instance,
right,
back in the day. And then it's like, oh, you might die.
Right.
My girl's reading. It's like giving you the
causes
breakdown.
Diarrhea, no sleep, shingles, hives.
1 in 13. And then it says like 1 in 14,000 die. It's like, yo, what the fuck? Man? Like, really? Like, so, and no, all jokes aside, the one baby out of the 14, that's devastating. Yeah. Whoever that one baby out of the 14,000 is. So, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's more reasons why a baby will have that kind of reaction. Maybe they have something more physically, you know, rare that reacts to the vaccine. But yeah, whatever. I don't know. Like, we're wondering, do we need the polio one? You know, when was the last time polio broke out?
It actually made a small return not too long ago.
Right now. I mean, my thing with some of these things that we're like, oh, when was the last time? I'm saying to myself, and I meant to tell her, but I didn't really get to talk about it. If we plan on traveling with the baby, at any point, she needs to be vaccinated, because you get in a plane, you go to an airport, and there's people from all over the world carrying all kinds of shit. So that's just as bad as people who, like, how they vaccinate you mandatory before you go to Africa or before you go to Asia. It's the same shit without the vaccinations. Obviously, there's a reason why they vaccinate you. I mean, it's probably because of the water or whatever, but still, that's the thing that I'm afraid of, exposing her in places like that, like a plane or airport. And we do plan on traveling with her so she could meet her family in Los Angeles. So we have to get these vaccinations.
You guys will be fine. Fine, whichever way you decide. Don't I mean, I hate saying this to people, but I feel like it's something that I typically do say. It's like, first parents, when they have their first kid, I know both of you either only have one at this stage, but like when that happens, there's like this hyper
sensitive,
which is totally natural. Which is totally natural. But that's why I encourage people to have a second or third or fifth.
Everybody tells me that.
Because
I hear the same thing.
The thing that you decide to ignore for kid 2 is like, you almost feel bad. You almost feel bad. You're like, the kid will be crying and shit, and you're like, because you kind of get a rhythm of when they're crying for real or when it's just whatever. So then you're like, you just ignore it, and it's just background noise. And then people come into your house and you're like, oh my God, is something wrong? Nah, it's just bullshitting around. They just want, whatever. And then they look at you like you crazy, but then it works out to be, just whatever. So it's funny to me.
Me and my girl were remembering the first night in the hospital, how when the baby started crying, we both got up and we were like, what do we do? And then it took both of us to change the diaper. And in the middle of both of us changing the diaper, the nurse walks in and it's like, just like shook her head.
Amateur hour.
Lovely.
Manny, who's on homework duty in your house? Or do you guys flip it up?
So my wife used to be. Well, we're probably gonna have to decide that now, because my son just entered kindergarten. Yeah, when I was working 9 to 5, she would be the one. But it didn't take long. So my daughter, who's now 11, by second grade, she would come home, do her own thing.
The grace of God going on over there.
Yeah,
sorry.
Get that God light.
Sorry to interrupt.
By second grade, she would know to come home, get her books out, probably have a snack before, dig into her homework, and be done in like an hour and a half. And if she had a question or two, whatever, she would ask. But we kind of put it on her shoulders, and we're like, yo, you got to do your homework, which means you have to pay attention in class, which means if there's a question that you have on the stuff that's being covered, you need to make sure you get up and ask. Because I don't want to hear you telling me when you get home, I don't get it. Because if you don't get it, that means either you weren't paying attention, or this homework is like pulling something out of somewhere that you guys didn't even study or go over. So she took that upon herself and was like, yo, I gotta get serious about this shit. And like, if I have a question, that shit better be like a legit question that makes sense. So, I mean, so it was my wife, to long-winded answer. It was my wife, but I think it's going to fall on me for my son and his kindergarten exploits. How about you?
Right now it's been my wife. Well, we've been like 4 weeks in on kindergarten now.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so she's
is there homework?
Oh, yeah.
Kindergarten?
Yeah, it's crazy,
dog.
man.
I don't remember having homework.
Crazy.
That's because we didn't. The extent of our homework was like, yo, color this piece of paper, try to stay in the lines. Peace.
And apparently my son's now like, he's a perfectionist, so
wow.
He'll do something wrong and then he's going to erase it and do it again. So like the sheet on the homework says it's supposed to take 15 minutes, but it ends up taking an hour because he wants to get it all right. But I'm about to have to. We're gonna jump in a little bit, and check it out.
Are you guys worried, being that this is gonna happen sooner to you guys than me, that you just look stupid and don't know the stuff that they're studying?
I'm a little not worried about it, but it's crossed my mind because I mean, some of that stuff, a lot of it that you learn in school, it's not like it's super practical. You
forget it. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the way it's taught is different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Like division now, bro. I don't know division anymore. I cannot divide shit the way they want you to divide things.
I mean,
like,
just bring me an apple pie and I got you.
Exactly. Like, yo, my daughter came and she tried to explain to me. I was like, yo, you got it? You good? You bringing home good grades? I don't need to know. Just keep cranking them out.
Right.
This shit's nuts.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Well, when she does history, I'll look forward to that because that's the subject that I like.
Well, yeah, it's also interesting because now, I'm looking and seeing, all right, I'm definitely going to have to go in and whatever they get taught in school, then it's like the parents' responsibility if they care to go in and kind of teach the actual truth of the matter. You know what I'm saying?
Filter it, you mean?
No, I mean, so basically they're going to get history books or they're going to get whatever they
have all the wrong
taught,
history,
which basically. Is going to, so then it's up to us to go in and
fill the gaps.
Yeah.
But is it filling the gaps or is it creating, like, I wonder if doing that also creates, like friction for them in the classroom where they start to
I guess it depends
question the teacher.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how they go back to the teacher with that information, or if they go back. It's like if they learn one thing and then you kind of give them a broader scope, a more I guess correct version of it, and then if they go back and tell the teacher, no, you're wrong, in front of the class, and that's where you run into potential issues.
Here comes Militant Milton again.
So I think it's probably
here comes the liberals Lammy over here. I don't know.
It's probably just having you got to have a conversation with your kid about, all right, when to use the knowledge.
Right.
And then I think you got to show them examples in other books, because just coming from you might seem like opinion.
Yeah.
That go back, and if they do go back to the teacher, it'd be cool if they went back with an educated discussion or or a response to whatever the teacher. Well, no, I read this is this, and it's like it becomes like this educational thing versus them just taking on the teacher like, you liar.
Yeah. I mean, luckily right now all he's doing is practicing doing his lowercase a's and stuff. So,
right now.
That's pretty lowercase. I thought there were 28 letters in the alphabet. Liar.
Yo, I just noticed, because in my screen, and for the people listening, we watch each other on Skype. That's why we said Keller had God's grace, because the sun was on his face. But my head is over Manny's hat, and then for a second I thought he had like one of those like gifts over his head of like a thing, the dancing person.
Got floating. Not yet, but it's coming. It's coming.
Oh shit! So yeah, education.
Yep. Boom.
Booyaka shot.
Yeah.
That sounds like a perfect place to stop.
All right. And on that note,
here at Fatherhoods, we don't have time to bullshit. So when it's an hour, we're out of here.
Yeah, that's right. We got shit to do.
Change.
Yo, so
boom.
couple questions I have.
Oh, I thought we ended it.
We did.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell.